When did your seemingly perfect partner's entire life shatter at a company retreat? Holy absolute hell, I just found out the man I've been dating for 2 years and 8 months, Gabriel White, 22M, who is literally my whole world and who I thought I was going to marry, is not only lying about his age and his career, but has an entire second life. And it all blew up in my face at the mandatory company retreat. I'm Rose Patterson, 55F, and I am currently sitting in the lobby of a very expensive, very remote lodge, clutching a half-eaten Talenti gelato container, wondering if I need to change my identity and move to Guam. I honestly do not know how I am going to survive the next 48 hours. I feel like I am vibrating with pure anxiety and rage. I need to start at the beginning, I guess. Please, internet, tell me I'm not crazy. Context: the world's worst company retreat. I'm an anxiety warrior by nature. I meticulously plan everything. I check my Ring doorbell 17 times before leaving the house, and I hate spontaneity more than anything. My job is stable, boring, and pays the $1,247 rent for my little apartment 3B right on time. Gabriel, or Gabe, was the bright spot. He was young, energetic, and completely obsessed with me. He told me he was 31, a venture capitalist who worked remotely, and that his intense need to know my every location was just protective love. I know, red flag. Pass me with such an idiot, please don't yell at me. He calls it helicopter parenting for adults, which always made me laugh. He texts me 27 times an hour if I don't respond, and his Apple Watch sends me notifications if my heart rate spikes too high. Intense? Yes, but I thought it meant he cared. Our company, which I will not name because I need this job, decided to mandate a 3-day, all-expenses-paid retreat way up in the mountains. I was dreading it. I had to use 2 days of PTO, and honestly, the thought of networking with people like Juan Parker, 62M, our ambitious upstart CEO who clearly believes he's the next Elon Musk, makes my stomach turn. Abe offered to drive me up Tuesday at 11:47 a.m. in his beat-up Toyota Corolla, claiming he had an investor meeting nearby and could turn it into a romantic getaway after my work stuff was done. Sweet, right? I packed my bags, stressing about whether the $43.67 worth of Trader Joe's snacks I brought would be enough to sustain me. The first day was fine. Awkward icebreakers, Juan Parker going on for 45 minutes about disruptive innovation, the audacity, and trying desperately not to make eye contact with Margaret Kelly, 24F, who everyone knows keeps her Zoom camera off 99% of the time because she's always doing something else, probably on TikTok. I managed to get away early and texted Gabe. Made it through the team dinner without crying. Success. Gabe, where are you right now? Did you finish eating? Do you drive back? Did you park in the designated zone? LOL, I'm in the main lodge, still networking. You coming tonight? Gabe, can't babe, major issues with a client in Dubai. Need to close this $5 million deal, we'll call you at 10 sharp. Love you, don't talk to anyone too long, okay? C. The helicopter parent in action. I should have seen that this level of control was a warning sign, not a sign of affection. But I was tired and his texts felt comforting. Waited until 10:15 p.m. No call. I know, big deal, a busy VC missed a call. But Gabe is usually absolutely neurotic about timing. He was due to pay his half of the $347 electric bill via Zelle tomorrow, and he's usually on it. I felt my anxiety start to bubble up. I saw Margaret Kelly sneaking out the back door, talking very loudly on her iPhone 14, complaining about the mandatory team-building exercise scheduled for the next day. I shrugged it off and headed back to my private room, trying to calm down by watching Netflix on my iPad. The first cracks the next morning, Wednesday, was the Outdoor Leadership Challenge. I was paired with Juan Parker, 62M. Oh, the joy. He spent the entire time humble bragging about how much money he made when he sold his first startup in '88. He even mentioned how he mentored all the younger staff because they needed guidance. I was just trying not to slip on the wet rocks and have a panic attack about the sheer number of bugs. Around 1:00 p.m., we were having lunch in the outdoor tent. Juan was explaining the future of cryptocurrency to me, which was actually the most boring thing I have ever endured. And then I saw her. Catherine Robinson, 19F. Catherine is an intern who was brought in specifically for the retreat because her father is apparently a major donor or something. Is 19, which is fine, but she gives off major groomzilla vibes, like she's planning her wedding to someone rich and controlling and already knows exactly what shade of beige the tablecloths will be. She's super intense, constantly adjusting her Apple Watch, and she keeps talking about how important it is to be established early. She was walking over to the buffet line, complaining to another intern, and she pulled out her phone. Juan Parker, who had just been pontificating about the importance of being present, abruptly stopped talking. His face went completely white. White like he'd seen a ghost. Excuse me, Rose, he mumbled, standing up so fast his chair almost tipped over. I just realized I need to check something vital for the presentation. He literally speed walked away in the opposite direction from Catherine, toward the woods. It was so weird. Juan Parker doesn't avoid people. He corners them and talks at them until they are begging for release. I decided I needed more coffee gas station quality, but whatever, and headed inside the lodge. That's when I heard it. A small, muffled sound coming from the maintenance closet next to the main kitchen. I hesitated. I am 55. I am not a person who investigates strange sounds. I'm a person who immediately assumes a serial killer is involved and calls 911. But my anxiety was already at max level, and frankly, I was bored enough to be nosy. I walked closer, pretending to check my phone, which was almost dead, 3% battery life naturally. The sounds were 2 people whispering frantically. I told you not to come near the main tent, Catherine, a man's voice hissed. Wait, Catherine Robinson? The 19-year-old groomzilla intern. I needed to know if you remembered to Venmo me the $200 for the deposit on the catering hall, Catherine said, her voice sounding oddly brittle for someone so young. And you haven't been answering my texts. Is your iPhone storage full again? You have 47 unread notifications, I saw it. SHHH, someone could hear us. Rose Patterson is right outside, the man whispered urgently. My blood ran cold. Rose Patterson, me? How did they know I was here? And then the man's voice became clear, laced with that familiar, frantic cadence I hear every day. Look, I can't risk this, baby. Not right now. I've been trying to keep things separate. Rose is really stressing me out about the lease being in both our names and the need for 60 days notice if we break it. She's talking about needing $85 for the plumber to fix the sink. I have too much on my plate. My brain stopped processing information. I felt my hands start shaking, the Talenti gelato slipping. That voice, that was Gabriel, my Gabe. Gabriel White 22M, but wait. He's supposed to be in Dubai closing a $5 million deal. I pressed myself against the wall, hyperventilating silently. I felt nauseous, the stress acne on my forehead throbbing. Gabriel, you promised me this retreat was a good time to solidify things with Juan, Catherine whined. We need his capital for the wedding setup. He said he'd only do it if you were here. And honestly, your Rose problem needs to be solved before I have to deal with another one of her awkward phone calls about the Netflix password. The maintenance closet door rattled slightly. It will be solved, I promise, Gabe said, his voice dropping lower but still audible. Just wait until I talk to Juan. He's avoiding me, the old goat. He promised to introduce me to his contact in state when he hired me. I'm not going to be some glorified assistant forever. I'm an ambitious upstart just like he was. Wait, what? Hired him? Gabriel told me he was an investor. He also told me he was 31. Okay, but hurry up, Catherine huffed. And tell your mom to stop calling me. She's so intense. You're only 22, Gabriel. Why is she calling me 24/7 asking about your dinner? She's worse than a helicopter parent. She's a vulture parent. 22, not 31. Was 22. The double life, the missing calls, the constant control, the lies about his job, the age difference he claimed was only 9 years but was actually 33 years. I was dating a child who was apparently trying to get funding for his wedding to a 19-year-old intern and was working for my company, the entire time pretending to be some high-roller VC. I felt the blood drain from my face. I literally stumbled backward, hitting a stack of box paper towels. Noise was loud enough to stop them both instantly. The maintenance door flew open. There stood Gabriel White, looking exactly as he did when he drove me up here in his Toyota Corolla, wearing a blue Oxford shirt and looking utterly trapped. Standing right behind him, looking furious and completely exposed, was Catherine Robinson. Gabriel saw me. His eyes went wide and he stammered, Rose, what are you doing here? I thought you were with Juan. I couldn't speak. I was shaking so hard my AirPods fell out of my ear. The only thing I could think of was the $347 electric bill and the fact that he hadn't Zelled the money yet. And the fact that he was 22. You, I finally managed to croak out, my voice sounding like sandpaper. You're 22. Catherine, the 19-year-old groomzilla who clearly has zero shame, pushed past Gabe, looking annoyed at the interruption. Oh, hi Rose. This is probably a bit awkward, but honestly, Gabriel needs to tell you that this little arrangement is over. We're engaged and we need the funding from Mr. Parker, she announced, adjusting the massive ring on her finger. He was going to tell you next week, but since we're here, might as well save him the $200 withdrawal fee for the moving truck deposit. Gabe looked absolutely terrified, like a rabbit caught in headlights. He tried to grab my arm. Rose, baby, wait, I can explain everything. It was just a little white lie. I just needed access to the company retreat for Juan Parker. I needed his mentorship. And Catherine, don't talk to her like that. She's still paying half the rent. The words, little white lie, sent a spike of pure, unadulterated rage through my body. The fact that he was more concerned about the $1,247 rent payment than the fact that he had maintained a 2-year, 8-month lie about his entire identity was stunning. I slapped his hand away. I saw red. I felt my stomach drop and my vision blurry, but I was suddenly strangely calm. The anxiety evaporated, replaced by cold fury. You are 22, I repeated, louder this time. You lied about your age, your job, and your life. It made me think you loved me while you were planning a wedding with an intern. You were worried about the Netflix password. You are a child. I looked at Catherine, who was rolling her eyes impatiently. And you, I said to the 19-year-old, you are getting involved with a boy who is still having his mother check his dinner schedule. Good luck with that. I turned back to Gabe. He was starting to sweat, scanning the room frantically, probably looking for an escape route. Don't worry about the rent, I said, leaning in close so only he could hear me. And don't worry about the lease. You're done, I'm going to take care of it. I walked straight out of the lodge, ignoring the sound of Gabe trying to yell my name and Catherine snapping, Don't let her touch your car, Gabriel. She looks like she's going to key it. I walked past the tent where all my coworkers were trying to avoid awkward eye contact with Margaret Kelly, who was now openly scrolling through TikTok. I got to the parking lot, found my 2018 Honda Civic, and realized I didn't have my car keys. They were in my purse. My purse was back in the room I was sharing with the private room they gave me. My phone was still at 3%. I needed to call someone. I needed to call everyone, but I couldn't go back in there. I felt a sudden, massive need to cry, but I held it in, focusing instead on the practical panic. The lease, the money, the security deposit, the fact that all my belongings were 100 feet away from the two people who had just shattered my reality. I ran to the employee parking lot, desperate for a phone or a sympathetic face. I saw one car, a black BMW that looked far too expensive for this retreat, but I knew the car immediately. It was Juan Parker's car. He was leaning against it, looking stressed, taking a very intense phone call. I started walking toward him, desperate to ask him what the hell was going on with Gabriel and Catherine and why he was mentoring Gabriel. Juan Parker, 62M, hung up his phone, sighed deeply, and then saw me. His eyes widened again, exactly like they had when he saw Catherine earlier. He looked terrified. Rose, oh, Rose Patterson. What terrible timing. Smoothed down his expensive, slightly rumpled suit jacket. Mr. Parker, I just saw Gabriel and Catherine and I need to ask you. He cut me off, his voice quiet and intense, nothing like the booming voice of the ambitious upstart I knew from the office. Rose, listen to me very carefully. You need to forget everything you just heard and you need to leave this retreat right now. Go home, call in sick. Tell HR you had a family emergency. I will cover for you. I was dumbfounded. Cover for me? Why? What is going on? Why is Gabriel here? He said he was a VC, and he's 22, and he's marrying Catherine, and you hired him. Is this about the state contact he mentioned? Juan looked around nervously, like the woods were filled with spies. Look, Rose, Gabriel is a problem, yes. And that little groomzilla Catherine is an even bigger problem because she has absolutely zero self-awareness and her father is a nightmare. You don't understand the real reason I hired him and why I am avoiding him. He paused, leaning in, his breath smelling slightly of expensive scotch. He spoke so low I had to strain to hear him over the sound of my own pounding heart. Gabriel is not here for me, he's here for her. He is her son, Rose. Gabriel White is Catherine Robinson's son. I blinked. Wait, what? That couldn't be right. Catherine Robinson, 19F, was dating Gabriel White, 22M. They were engaged. We're planning a wedding. Wait, I think you have the names mixed up, Mr. Parker. They are dating, they are engaged. Catherine is 19. Gabriel is 22. That means no, Rose, Juan said, his eyes serious and desperate. You've got the ages wrong and the relationship wrong. I told you I hired him because of her. You see, I haven't been dating Catherine Robinson. I have been dating Margaret Kelly, 24F, for almost a year now. And Margaret, the Zoom camera always off person, has been lying about her age too. She is actually 45, and she just told me she's pregnant. And Gabriel is her child, not Catherine's. Gabriel is the one Margaret sent to spy on me because she thinks I am sleeping with Catherine. He's not her son. He's her much younger lover, and she used him to infiltrate the company. I only just found this out. I paid Margaret $5,000 to keep the baby quiet, but she just asked for more. This whole retreat is a setup, Rose. My head was spinning so fast I thought I was going to throw up the leftover pizza I ate for breakfast. Gabriel, 22M, was Margaret Kelly's, 45F, much younger lover, and not Catherine's 19F fiancé. But wait, Catherine said they were engaged, and Gabriel just confirmed that Catherine's mother was the intense one calling him 24/7. Mr. Parker, I am so confused. Gabriel just said Catherine's mom was calling him, and Catherine said she and Gabriel were engaged, and that she needed the $200 from him for the catering hall. Which means, no, Rose, you don't understand the double life, Juan interrupted, his voice laced with pure panic. They are all lying. Gabriel is 22 and is engaged to Catherine, who is 19, yes. But Margaret Kelly, 45F, is actually Gabriel's mother. She's having an affair with M.E., Juan Parker, 62M, and she sent Gabriel to spy on me because she thought I was sleeping with Catherine. And that's the problem, I am. Catherine is also dating me, and Gabriel doesn't know it yet. He thinks I'm his mentor. I was supposed to introduce him to a state contact, but that contact is actually my divorce lawyer because I need to leave Margaret. I thought if I exposed Gabriel's engagement to Catherine, Margaret would stop blackmailing me about the pregnancy. But now you know everything. I stared at him. The ambitious upstart CEO, 62M, was dating his 45-year-old employee and his 19-year-old intern, and the employee's 22-year-old son, who was engaged to the intern, was now dating M.E., Rose Patterson, 55F, under false pretenses just to spy on his mother's older lover. Math definitely wasn't mathing. It was a spiral of betrayal and lies involving 3 generations of terrible choices. Wait, Gabriel is dating me, engaged to Catherine, and his mother Margaret is dating you, Juan, I whispered, trying to make sense of the names. And you, Juan, are also dating Catherine. This is a terrifying, messy triangle squared. Juan nodded miserably. It gets worse, Rose. This is the crucial part. I know you're a rational woman. You must leave. Because the state contact. When I mentioned, that's not a lawyer. That's a witness protection officer. I am not who I say I am. I used a fake identity to get this job to hide from my previous life, and Gabriel's mother, Margaret, just realized who I really am. She saw my old name on a bank statement when she stole my wallet last night. If Gabriel tells anyone, we are all in danger. I felt my stomach churn violently. This was not just a bad date. This was a criminal operation dressed up as a company retreat, and I was standing right in the middle of it. In danger from who? I asked, completely horrified. Juan Parker looked me dead in the eyes, his previous bravado entirely gone. From the people who believe I owe them over $500,000, he said, swallowing hard. The money I promised to pay back via Zelle and Cash App a long time ago. They are why I need to move states immediately. And they are why Margaret wanted me to bring Gabriel to the retreat. She didn't want him to spy. She wanted him to bring the package. What package? Juan didn't answer. He just pointed slightly toward the main lodge entrance. Standing there, bathed in the strange evening light, was Gabriel White, 22M, looking furious. He wasn't alone. He was standing next to Margaret Kelly, 45F, the Zoom camera always off person, and Margaret was holding my purse. Gabriel saw us talking by Juan's BMW. He started marching toward us, his face set in a grim mask. Juan, Rose, what are you doing out here? Did Rose tell you anything? Where's my key? You need to call me back, Rose. I texted you 7 times, Gabriel yelled. Margaret, looking completely unbothered, just smiled and held up my purse, which contained my car keys, my apartment keys, and my almost-dead phone. Don't worry, honey, Margaret, Gabriel's 45-year-old mother-lover of Juan/my coworker, cooed to her son. I already took care of the Rose Patterson problem. I wanted to run. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell Juan Parker to drive his fancy, probably stolen BMW straight into the nearest ditch. But Gabriel and Margaret were closing in, and I still didn't have my keys, and I was absolutely terrified of what they meant by taking care of the problem. I looked at Juan Parker, who was hyperventilating beside me. Rose, he gasped. The package. Gabriel was supposed to be delivering the money to Margaret's friend tonight, but he failed. And now she knows I'm not who I say I am. You need to leave, now, before they get here and explain the real double life, the one that involves federal wire fraud. I was frozen. Gabriel was 15 feet away. Margaret was smiling. My phone was at 1%. I realized I was trapped at a corporate retreat with a scam artist CEO. a woman who was both my coworker and my ex-boyfriend's mom, and my 22-year-old ex-boyfriend who was engaged to a 19-year-old intern and was possibly a federal courier for his mom. Wait, I managed to say to Juan. If you are in witness protection and you need to move states, why would you hire the son of the woman who knows your secret? Juan opened his mouth to reply, but before he could, Margaret Kelly spoke up, loud enough for me to hear over the rushing panic in my ears. Rose, honey, you look pale. Don't worry about the keys. Gabriel just wanted to tell you something important about your lease before you left. Didn't you, sweetie? Gabriel stopped right in front of me, his eyes wide and dark. He gripped my purse so tight his knuckles were white. The lease, Rose, Gabriel hissed, abandoning the baby tone. Took care of the $1,247 rent payment. I paid it in full, but I transferred it to Catherine's account instead of the landlord's, and I signed an eviction notice for your apartment 3B this morning. Catherine will be moving in Friday. You have 72 hours to get your stuff and leave the state, or I am pressing charges for harassment. And don't worry, your car will be safe with us. We're going to need a second one for the wedding getaway. I felt my knees buckle. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. I was supposed to be moving states, but I was supposed to be moving to get away from them. Now I had nowhere to go, no keys, and my apartment was gone. I looked down at Gabriel's hand clutching my purse. I realized I was still holding the Talenti gelato. In one final, irrational burst of rage, I smashed the container right into his chest, covering his blue Oxford shirt with melting chocolate and pistachio. You absolute sociopath, I spat out, turning to Juan Parker. Drive, now. Juan didn't hesitate. He jumped into his BMW. I scrambled into the passenger seat, not caring that I didn't have my keys or my purse, or that I was abandoning $43.67 worth of Trader Joe's snacks. Juan slammed the door shut and floored it. So we sped away, leaving Gabriel, 22M, covered in Talenti gelato, and Margaret Kelly, 45F, laughing maniacally and waving my purse. I looked in the rearview mirror. I saw Catherine Robinson, 19F, running out of the main lodge, clutching her massive ring, looking furious at the sight of the ruined shirt, but she wasn't running after us. She was running toward Juan Parker's abandoned parking spot. I turned to Juan, who was driving like a maniac down the winding mountain roads. Juan, what the hell is going on? What is the $500,000 debt? And why did you say you were moving states? Where are we going? Juan didn't even look at me. He just gripped the steering wheel and said, Rose, I lied. I'm not who I say I am, but I'm not in witness protection. I'm fleeing the country. And Margaret wasn't the one who found out my real identity. Gabriel's father did. And he's here. He was the one hiding in the woods. He wants that $500,000. He works for the IRS. I think we need to drive straight to the nearest state line, but I'm not sure we have enough gas. Did you happen to bring your debit card? I patted my pockets, realizing my wallet was in my stolen purse. My hands started shaking again. I had nothing but the clothes on my back and the knowledge that my 22-year-old fake boyfriend had just evicted me and stolen my car keys. I had to move states, but I had zero funds and was currently fleeing a possible federal investigation with a fraudulent CEO. And I still had to know, if Gabriel was Margaret's son, and Margaret was dating Juan, and Gabriel was engaged to Catherine, and Juan was dating Catherine, who the hell was Gabriel's father? And why was he at our company retreat? I'm absolutely dying to know the rest of the story, but I'm stuck here in a BMW with a man who thinks he's going to flee the country. Please tell me what to do, internet. I think I need to move states, but I'm broke. I'm literally broke and shaking. I need to call my mom, but my phone is dead and my purse is gone. And then I remembered something Juan had said earlier, something so small and mundane, but now terrifying. Juan, wait, what about Margaret? Where is she going? And why did you give her $5,000 to keep the baby quiet? Juan sighed, a terrible, desperate sound. The baby? Rose, I didn't give Margaret $5,000 to keep my baby quiet. I gave her $5,000 to keep her quiet about the fact that Gabriel is the one who is having a baby with Catherine. The 22-year-old helicopter parent VC assistant serial liar was about to be a father with the 19-year-old groomzilla he was engaged to, while I was sitting here, 55, anxious, homeless, and fleeing with his mom's much older lover criminal CEO. I finally screamed. The full, guttural, 55-year-old panic scream. I need to get out of this car and move 3,000 miles away. Like, yesterday. I need to talk about how I'm going to get my stuff back, but first, I need to know. Am I the asshole for leaving my Talenti-covered ex-boyfriend behind with his terrifying mother? And how do I move states when I can't afford a $43.67 grocery bill right now? I need help. Everything hurts. Oh my God. I am literally vibrating again, but this time it's from adrenaline, not just the usual everyday anxiety. Juan Parker, 62M, is driving his expensive, probably stolen black BMW like he's in a high-speed chase scene from a movie I would never watch because of the jump scares. I'm gripping the door handle so hard my knuckles are white. My life is officially a dumpster fire set on fire by a sociopathic 22-year-old and his criminal corporate mother. Juan, pull over. We need to stop, I yelled over the engine noise. The man is clearly running on pure panic and stale Scotch fumes. Stop. Rose, are you insane? Gabriel's father is the IRS. The IRS? He's probably setting up roadblocks right now, Juan shouted back, swerving dramatically to avoid a deer, which honestly felt like a perfect metaphor for my current life trajectory. I don't care about the IRS right now. Care about the fact that I just found out my 22-year-old boyfriend, fake VC aspiring dad, is also involved in federal wire fraud, and he evicted me. I need to call the police or a lawyer or my sister Sharon. I need my phone. I tried to pat down my non-existent pockets again, realizing my wallet and keys are currently being held hostage by Margaret Kelly, 45F, back at the creepy mountain lodge. Juan slowed down slightly, taking a corner way too fast. Rose, listen. It cannot involve the police. That's the worst thing we could do. If they start digging, they'll find my actual identity, and then it's game over for both of us because I can guarantee that whatever you know about Gabriel, it's nothing compared to what his father knows about me. And what exactly does his father know about you, Juan? Besides the $500,000 you owe, is this a standard corporate embezzlement, or are we talking something with, like, international implications? I need details, Juan. My future depends on this. I was shaking uncontrollably. Juan took a deep, shuddering breath, finally easing the car into a pull-off area next to a very dark, very abandoned-looking gas station. It smelled like pine needles and regret. Okay, fine, details, but you have to promise me you will not scream, he said, turning the car off. The sudden silence was deafening, broken only by my rapid breathing. I already screamed back there, Juan. I'm operating on borrowed sandy now. Lay it on me. Juan ran a hand over his face. My name isn't Juan Parker. It's Stanley Pasternak. I faked my death 10 years ago in Nevada after a very aggressive Ponzi scheme involving rare coin collections went sideways. The $500,000 I mentioned, that was the initial capital I managed to scrape together to restart my life as Juan Parker. Gabriel's father, who is indeed an IRS agent, was one of my major early investors who lost everything. He spent 10 years hunting me down. He was supposed to be in Miami, but Margaret figured out the connection. She saw my Nevada ID when she rifled through my desk last month. She demanded I bring Gabriel to the retreat so his father, Mr. White, could talk to me privately and get his investment back. Wait, stop the whole damn car. Gabriel White's father, the IRS agent hunting you, is named Mr. White? Yes, and Gabriel? He's the son of the man trying to arrest me. Gabriel didn't know I was his dad's target. He just thought I was a potential mentor who could get him access to state contacts his dad's IRS connections, TBH. Gabriel was trying to hustle his way into his father's good graces because he thinks that's how he can finally afford the wedding Catherine wants. This is so unbelievably twisted. Gabriel was dating me, an established older woman, to get away from his actual life, while simultaneously using his actual life to try and hustle the CEO who was dating his mother and his fiancé. It's like a corporate version of a very bad soap opera written by a highly caffeinated toddler. And Margaret, I pressed. She knew her son was dating me and she didn't care. Margaret is a viper, Rose, Juana rather, Stanley said grimly. She needed me distracted, and she needed Gabriel on site. She probably saw you as an acceptable distraction. Margaret is also deeply unhappy about Gabriel marrying Catherine because she thinks Catherine is too young and too expensive. She wanted Gabriel to stay with you, the established older woman who pays the rent, while he secured the funding for his real life. Margaret's whole game was pitting everyone against each other to maintain control over Gabriel and me. She thought if Gabriel was busy with you, he wouldn't realize she was trying to leave me and set up a deal with his father. I slumped in the seat. She's the Zoom camera always off person because she's always planning elaborate schemes, isn't she? Precisely, Stanley confirmed. The $5,000 I gave her, that was to keep quiet about the fact that I had just used the company credit card to buy myself a one-way ticket to Costa Rica. She took the money and then went straight to Gabriel's father. She wanted to cut me out and collect the debt reward. I took a shaky breath. Okay, practical steps. I am now homeless, phoneless, broke, and currently hiding from the IRS with a Ponzi schemer. Stanley, we need to go back for my keys and my purse and my car, I stated firmly. Are you out of your mind? We are not going back there. Yes, we are. My entire life savings are tied up in that apartment 3B, and Gabriel literally evicted me. I need to get my important documents before that little monster and his groomzilla fiancé move in on Friday. They have my keys. We need a plan. Stanley rubbed his chin, looking toward the dark road. Well, I need the package. The money I mentioned? It's not $500,000 cash. It's a very specific hard drive containing encrypted data that would implicate every single person who worked for me 10 years ago. It's hidden in the maintenance closet. My heart jumped. The maintenance closet? The one where Gabriel and Catherine were whispering? Yes, Gabriel was supposed to retrieve it and hand it to his father, Mr. White, who was lurking in the woods near the main tent, hoping to make a deal with me. Margaret, however, decided she wanted it for herself. She must have stolen it after I ran. That's why she was holding your purse. She needed a distraction while she searched the car for the hard drive I hid there first. This is too much. This is too much plot for a 3-day corporate retreat. Okay, new plan, I declared, my anxiety warrior brain finally kicking into high gear, channeling all the panic into meticulous logistics. To get my keys and purse, and you need to get the hard drive, which is either on Margaret or back in the closet, and we need to get my car so I can drive myself to my sister Sharon's place in Ohio. I'm moving states, like right now. Ohio, why Ohio? Because it's far away and Sharon won't ask too many questions until I've had 3 full days of uninterrupted sleep and a large pizza. And honestly, she owns a gun. We need protection. Stanley looked dubious, but desperate. Fine. Can use my phone, but we are not going back to the lodge. Wait, you have a phone? He pulled out a burner flip phone from his interior pocket. Always have a disposable phone, Rose. Rule number 1 of the Ponzi scheme lifestyle. I'm calling my old associate Bari. He owes me a favor. He can meet us halfway with a car and cash. I felt a sliver of hope. Okay, call Bari. But while you're doing that, I'm calling my friend Tina. She lives about an hour from here. She's a powerhouse, a certified badass, and she owes me exactly $200 from a bad business venture involving homemade artisanal soaps. She will help. Stanley nodded, dialing the flip phone with surprising speed. I made a mental note to thank Tina later for the artisanal soap debt. Update 2 days later. Friday morning. I'm typing this from Tina's, 55F, the badass friend, guest room, using her massive gaming PC. Have survived on microwave popcorn and pure spite. I still haven't slept properly. I smell like Talenti gelato in fear. Stanley and I made it safely to Tina's place around midnight Wednesday. Tina, bless her soul, took one look at Stanley, the alleged Ponzi schemer CEO, listened to my frantic 15-minute explanation about the IRS, the wire fraud, the pregnant 19-year-old, the eviction, and the stolen car keys, and simply said, "Well, that's quite the Tuesday. Aunt Wine, she is the best." Stanley called his contact, Barry, who was apparently hesitant but agreed to meet him at a rest stop on the Pennsylvania border Thursday morning. Stanley had enough gas to get there, but the problem remained. My apartment, my car, and my identity were still held captive by Gabriel and Margaret. Tina immediately went into battle mode. "We don't call the police," she dictated, pulling up Google Maps. "Can't risk Stanley. And honestly, Rose, you don't want to explain to the local police why your 22-year-old ex-boyfriend is engaged to a teenager and working for a criminal. We go tactical." She came up with a plan that sounded insane, but necessary. First, Stanley needed to get out of the state immediately. We dropped him off at the Pennsylvania rest stop at 9:00 a.m. Thursday. He was supposed to meet Barry and disappear to Costa Rica. I wished him good luck, telling him that maybe he should try being a decent human being for once. He just smiled nervously and said, "Baby steps, Rose, baby steps." NGL, seeing him go felt like a huge relief, even if he was a criminal. It meant the immediate threat of federal wire fraud arrest was reduced. Then, Tina and I executed Phase 2, Operation Retrieval. I knew Gabriel and Catherine 19F were planning on moving into my apartment 3B on Friday, which is today. We had less than 24 hours. Tina figured they were probably still at the lodge, savoring their victory and waiting until the corporate retreat officially ended Thursday evening before driving back down the mountain. We drove Tina's incredibly reliable, slightly rusty Honda CR-V back up toward the lodge Thursday afternoon. We needed a decoy. Tina suggested Margaret Kelly. Margaret, 45F, was the only person who had my purse, which contained my keys. "They won't expect us to come back, Rose. They'll expect you to be terrified and running," Tina pointed out. "We need to hit them while they're still basking in their sociopathy." The lodge was surprisingly quiet when we pulled up at 4:30 p.m. The final corporate dinner was in progress. We crept around the back, exactly where I had smashed the Talenti into Gabriel's chest. I saw my car, the 2018 Honda Civic, parked right next to where Juan Stanley's BMW had been. "Okay, Rose, you look for Margaret? I'll check your car," Tina whispered. I felt that familiar wave of anxiety, but it was coupled with a fierce, protective determination. I was not going to let a child steal my life. I slipped into the side entrance of the lodge and immediately saw Margaret Kelly standing by the gift shop, looking smug. She was on the phone, clearly talking to someone about her recent exploits, probably her lawyer or maybe Gabriel's dad, the IRS agent. She was holding my purse. And why purse? I walked right up to her. I didn't hesitate. I am 55 years old and I have put up with too much nonsense to be afraid of a woman who keeps her camera off during Zoom calls. "Margaret," I said, my voice dangerously level. She looked up, completely startled. Her smug expression vanished, replaced by genuine shock. "Rose, what are you doing here? I thought you drove off with Juan." "Stanley actually, and Stanley is gone. Now I need my purse, please." Margaret clutched the bag tighter. "Oh, honey, no, we need to keep this for a little longer. Gabriel needs the keys to access the apartment while you're getting settled elsewhere." "Margaret, I know everything," I hissed. "I know Stanley is running. I know you were trying to use Gabriel to set up Stanley with his father, the IRS agent. I know Gabriel is engaged to Catherine and that they are pregnant. And I know you are trying to steal my apartment. Give me the purse." Margaret's composure cracked. Her voice went thin. "How did you find out about Catherine's pregnancy? Gabriel was explicitly told not to tell anyone. You promised Stanley you wouldn't tell." "Stanley is in Pennsylvania, and I don't make promises to Ponzi schemers, Margaret." "Out my purse?" This is the part where the anxiety warrior usually retreats, cries, and stress eats an entire package of Oreos. Not this time. I felt the fury of 33 years of difference between me and Gabriel and the reality of my eviction fueling me. I grabbed the purse strap. Margaret pulled back. We were in a low-grade, silent tug-of-war in the lodge gift shop. Suddenly, Margaret started yelling, not loudly but hysterically. "Security! She's trying to steal my belongings. Help. He's attacking me." And then who walked out of the corporate dinner? Gabriel White, 22M, still wearing the blue Oxford shirt, thankfully cleaned of the Talenti but looking completely exhausted. "Mom, what is going on?" Gabriel demanded, rushing over. "Gabriel, thank God. Rose is trying to attack me and steal my purse," Margaret wailed. Gabriel looked at me and I saw that brief flash of regret and guilt before the familiar entitled rage took over. "Rose, what the hell? I told you this arrangement was over. I even paid the rent. Why are you harassing my mother? You need to leave right now or I am calling the police on you for harassment." I looked him straight in his 22-year-old eyes. "You didn't pay the rent, Gabriel. You zelled the $1,247 to Catherine, and since I am the only person on the lease, that money is now a gift to Catherine, not a rent payment." I called the landlord. "You and Catherine cannot move in. I'm getting my keys back." This was a partial bluff. I hadn't called the landlord yet because I didn't have a phone, but I knew the lease terms intimately. He had broken the contract by trying to assign the payment to a non-lease holder. Gabriel's face crumpled. "That's not fair. We needed that money for the deposit on the new catering hall. I am not your personal bank, Gabriel, and this is not your new home. Give me the damn keys." We were attracting a crowd. I saw Juan Parker's replacement, the new VP of marketing, peeking around the corner with a bread roll in his hand. Suddenly, Margaret, in a fit of panic, yanked the purse so hard the strap broke. The contents spilled all over the carpet, my wallet, my almost dead phone, a lipstick, a handful of change, and a shiny metallic hard drive. The hard drive that belonged to Stanley. Gabriel froze, staring at the hard drive. Margaret gasped. "Mom, what is that?" Gabriel whispered. "Juan give you a new laptop drive? What is this?" Margaret lunged for the hard drive, but I was faster. I scooped up the hard drive, my phone, and my keys. Just then Tina appeared, holding a large, heavy, antique-looking bronze statue from the gift shop. I didn't even want to ask where she got it. Rose, move, Tina yelled. I didn't need telling twice. I sprinted toward the door, ignoring Margaret shrieking about federal evidence and Gabriel yelling my name. We made it back to Tina's car. Did you check the Civic? I gasped, fumbling with my keys trying to start her car. Yep, Tina replied, breathing heavily. Your Honda is fine. I keyed the passenger side door of Gabriel's beat-up Toyota Corolla, though. Couldn't resist. I looked at her, and honestly, a genuine, true laugh escaped me for the first time in 48 hours. Tina, you are a saint. Just paying off the artisanal soap debt, honey, she winked. We sped away from the lodge. I finally had my keys, my purse, and a piece of critical federal evidence in the form of a hard drive. The fallout. Friday afternoon and evening we got back to Tina's place. I immediately put my phone on the charger. While waiting for it to power on, I started making calls. First, the landlord explained the situation with the fake rent payment and the attempted eviction notice, emphasizing that the $1,247 was Zelled to Catherine Robinson, who is not on the lease. The landlord, a very nice, very old man named Mr. Henderson, was confused but agreed to hold off on any eviction proceedings. I had 72 hours to move everything out myself, or he would have to re-rent the place. Second, my sister Sharon in Ohio. I called her, and the moment she heard my voice, she knew something was wrong. I gave her the bare-bones version. I need to move states, I am divorced, and my ex is 22 and involved in white-collar crime. Sharon didn't ask questions. She just said, "I'll book a U-Haul and I'll be there tomorrow afternoon. Start packing the basics. You are moving in with me." She is my rock. When my phone finally turned on, it exploded. 47 text messages from Gabriel White, 22M. Gabe, Rose, answer me. Are you okay? Where are you? Gabe, you can't just leave. We need to talk about the lease. Gabe, Rose, my mom is hysterical. You stole federal evidence. Gabe, I know you're with Juan. Tell him to give me back the hard drive. My dad is here. Gabe, Rose, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I lied about my age. But I love you. I needed your stability. Gabe, please, I need the hard drive to fix things with Catherine. Is saying she'll leave me if I don't get the funding. Gabe, I saw the key scratch on my Corolla. Was that you? Why would you do that? LOL, I didn't even do that. Thank you, Tina. 11 missed calls from Margaret Kelly, 45F, 3 voicemails from Margaret. Voicemail 1, screeching. Rose Patterson, you are making a huge mistake. That hard drive contains sensitive information. Give it back now, or I will tell the entire office about your inappropriate relationship with my son. Appropriate? He lied about being 31. She introduced him to me. Voicemail 2, controlled rage. Rose, please, I need that drive. My life and my son's future depends on it. We are not bad people. We were just trying to get ahead. Voicemail 3, desperate. Rose, call me. Catherine is crying. The catering hall just canceled the booking. Please just give me the drive. I screenshotted everything, saving it all to the cloud. Evidence is key. Then I called HR. I had to quit. I couldn't possibly work for a company where the CEO was a Ponzi schemer, my coworker was the schemer's pregnant lover and my ex's mother, and my ex was the son of the IRS agent chasing the schemer. I called the HR rep, who, to my surprise, was incredibly quiet. Rose, thank you for calling, the HR rep said nervously. We were just about to call you. We understand you've had a difficult few days. Are conducting an immediate internal investigation regarding Juan Parker's sudden disappearance. Sudden disappearance? Stanley Pasternak, you mean? I corrected. The HR rep choked. We can't confirm names, Rose, but we can confirm that Juan Parker is no longer with the company. And Margaret Kelly has also been placed on immediate administrative leave pending investigation. We received a highly detailed, anonymous email about massive financial irregularities. I believe corporate funds may have been misappropriated. Did you also hear about the 19-year-old intern Catherine Robinson? I asked, completely deadpan. Ms. Robinson's internship has also been terminated, effective immediately. Rose, we have decided that given the circumstances, we are offering you a severance package equivalent to 6 months' salary, provided you sign a non-disclosure agreement regarding the events of the retreat. It will be compensated for your lost PTO, and we will cover your health insurance for 3 months. Please do not come back to the office. Holy crap, 6 months' salary? This was the biggest stroke of luck I had ever received. They were paying me off to make the whole criminal mess disappear. Yes, I said immediately. I will absolutely sign that NDA. Please send it over immediately. And if you need any assistance locating Mr. Parker, I suggest checking flights to Costa Rica. Hung up, heart pounding. Severance package secured. Financial stress alleviated. I was free of the company and the criminals. Tina poured us both a massive glass of wine. See, Rose, that's how you handle a crisis. You got paid to quit. We need to celebrate. We celebrate after I figure out what to do with this, I said, holding up the hard drive. This is evidence of federal wire fraud. Stanley said it implicated everyone. Okay, anxiety warrior, Tina said, looking serious. Have 2 choices. 1, you hand it to the IRS, likely through Gabriel's father, which might earn you a reward, but it also ties you permanently to this mess. 2, you use it as leverage to get Gabriel and Margaret out of your life forever, and then you dispose of it. I am moving states, Tina. I don't want a reward, I want peace. I want to be 3,000 miles away from anyone named White or Robinson. We decided on option 2 with a slight twist. I wasn't going to talk to Gabriel. I was going to talk to the only rational person left in this insane equation, Gabriel's father, the IRS agent, Mr. White. The confrontation. Saturday morning my phone buzzed. It was a text message from an unknown number. Unknown, Rose Patterson, I know you have the drive. Meet me at the Denny's parking lot off I-95 at 11:00 a.m. Come alone, don't be late. This is Gabriel's father. I showed the text to Tina. Denny's, really? For a federal wire fraud exchange. GL, that's incredibly on brand for a corporate crime ring, Tina commented. I'm coming with you, Rose, but I'll wait in the CRV across the street, just in case things get weird. You have a massive severance package. We can buy a bodyguard if we need to. At 11:00 a.m., I was sitting in the corner booth of the Denny's, drinking watery coffee, gripping the hard drive in my pocket. Man walked in who looked about 55, distinguished, graying hair, impeccably dressed in a suit that looked expensive but conservative. Definitely not a Ponzi schemer. He walked straight toward my booth. "Rose Patterson, I'm Mr. White." I nodded. He sat down. He didn't look angry, just terribly, terribly tired. "Before you say anything, Mr. White," I started, "I am 55 years old. I was dating your 22-year-old son, Gabriel, for 2 years under false pretenses. He lied about his age, his job, and his intentions. He used me to secure housing and potentially try to get access to your network. He's engaged to a 19-year-old named Catherine who is pregnant with his child, and he tried to illegally evict me from my apartment." I paused, letting that sink in. Mr. White just sighed deeply and pinched the bridge of his nose. "I know all of this, Rose, except for the eviction part. That boy is a menace. Margaret is entirely responsible for setting all of this up. She has always manipulated Gabriel. She was hoping to use the threat of my presence to force Stanley to give her more money, and then she was going to turn Stanley in herself." "So, you know about the hard drive?" I asked. "I do. That drive contains enough information to put Stanley away for 20 years, and it also contains the account numbers where he's laundered money through various shell corporations. $500,000 is still traceable. It's crucial evidence. Margaret was supposed to hand it over to me yesterday at the retreat." I took the hard drive out of my pocket and slid it across the table. It made a small clack sound on the plastic tabletop. "Here it is. I'm not asking for a reward. I'm asking for one thing, Mr. White. Absolute, total, permanent separation from your son, Margaret Kelly, and Catherine Robinson. I'm moving states. Want to know that when I leave, I will never hear from them again. No texts, no calls, no legal trouble regarding this drive, and no trouble regarding my former apartment." Mr. White looked at the drive, then back at me. He had intelligent, piercing eyes. "Rose, I can promise you that once I have this, Margaret Kelly will be detained, and Gabriel will be busy dealing with his legal responsibilities. Both the fact that he was involved in fraud and the fact that he's about to be a father. We'll make sure he understands that contacting you will lead to criminal charges of harassment. You will be free. You can move to Guam or Ohio or anywhere you choose." He picked up the hard drive, weighing it in his hand. "By the way," he added almost as an afterthought, "my son Gabriel, he's not 22, he's 24. He just told you 22 so his age gap with Catherine wouldn't seem so bad." I stared at him. "He lied about his lie? Are you kidding me?" "No, Rose. Afraid not. Honestly, I didn't even care anymore. 22, 24, 30 when it was all irrelevant. He was a liar." We finished the exchange quickly. Mr. White left Denny's, hard drive secured, probably off to arrest his son's mother and deal with his son. I walked out to Tina's waiting CRV, feeling lighter than I had in years. Moving states, Sunday and Monday my sister Sharon, 58F, arrived in a massive U-Haul rental early Sunday morning. Came armed with coffee, duct tape, and a terrifyingly efficient moving strategy. We drove straight to my apartment 3B. I had 72 hours, and I needed to be out by Tuesday afternoon. When we pulled up, my heart sank. Gabriel's Toyota Corolla was parked right outside. "Stay in the truck, Sharon," I commanded, grabbing a baseball bat I had packed just in case. I know, anxiety warrior packing. I walked up the stairs to apartment 3B. The door was slightly ajar. I pushed it open slowly. The apartment was not empty, but it was surprisingly quiet. I walked into the living room. Catherine Robinson, 19F, was sitting on my sofa looking incredibly pale and defeated. My furniture was still there, but a bunch of horrible, cheap pink pillows had been added. "Rose," she whispered, looking up. Her massive engagement ring looked ridiculous on her small hand. "Catherine, where's Gabriel?" "He's gone," she mumbled, bursting into tears. "His dad showed up this morning, took him to the federal building, and told him he had two choices: cooperate with the investigation against his mom and Stanley, or face complicity charges. He also found out I was pregnant. He was furious." "I am so sorry, Catherine," I said, and surprisingly I meant it. She was still a child dealing with truly insane adult problems. "No, you're not," she hiccuped. "And that's fine. I should be sorry. I knew Gabriel was still seeing you when we got engaged. I thought if I just sped up the wedding, he'd commit. I thought if I had a baby, he'd commit. But he's a child. And he lied about his lie, too. I found his birth certificate this morning. He was 24, not 22. I feel like such an idiot." I sat down on the armchair next to her. "I felt like an idiot for 2 years, 8 months, Catherine. It happens. Now, what are you doing here? We thought we had the apartment secured. We were going to start moving the boxes today. Mr. Henderson called and said he had to check with the original leaseholder. He told us we couldn't move in." "That's right. You can't. I need you to leave, Catherine. I need to pack up my life and move states." Catherine nodded, wiping her eyes. "I know, I'm sorry. I just wanted to wait here until Margaret came back, but she hasn't answered her phone since last night. I don't know what to do about the catering deposit, or the baby." This was the moment of reckoning for my anxiety. I could be furious, or I could be the adult I actually was. "Catherine," I said gently, "Gabriel is 24, he's broke, he's involved with the IRS, and he has zero stability. You are 19, pregnant, and clearly have a terrible sense of choice in men. You need your parents, or you need to call a friend who is actually smart. Forget the catering deposit. Focus on getting a safe place to live and finishing whatever schooling you were doing." I handed her a $100 bill from the small amount of cash I kept in my emergency wallet. "Go home, call your mom, tell her you need her help, and then block Gabriel's number. This is not your life. This is a mess." Catherine looked stunned. She took the money, stood up, and hugged me briefly, surprisingly tight. "Thank you, Rose. I honestly thought you were going to scream at me." "I did that already," I mumbled, gesturing vaguely toward the mountain range. She walked out of apartment 3B, a slightly less groomzilla 19-year-old heading toward a deeply uncertain future. Sharon came in shortly after, looking suspicious. "Where's the chaos? Where's the boy?" "Gone. IRS involvement. Just a crying, pregnant teenager." We spent the next 24 hours packing my life into boxes. It was exhausting, but therapeutic. Every box represented a lie I was leaving behind. I changed the utilities, forwarded the mail, and blocked Gabriel, Catherine, and Margaret on every single platform: social media, phone, email, Venmo, Cash App, everything. The final act. Tuesday afternoon, I drove my 2018 Honda Civic one last time, following Sharon in the U-Haul toward the highway that would take us to Ohio. I was officially moving states, exactly as planned, just with a lot more drama and a huge severance package. I pulled over briefly at the gas station right before the state line. I needed one last coffee. While pumping gas, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but I figured it might be Sharon. I answered. Hello? Rose, it's Margaret. My blood ran cold. How did you get this number, Margaret? I blocked you everywhere. I have my ways, Rose, she said, sounding slightly smug but also stressed. Listen, I'm calling from the federal holding facility. Release me on bail thanks to a good lawyer. I know you're moving. I just wanted to say one thing. I waited, bracing myself for a final threat. I found out that Gabriel tried to get your electric bill zelled to Catherine to steal your apartment, and frankly, I'm ashamed of my son, Margaret confessed. He needs to grow up. But I also wanted to tell you, I never intentionally tried to hurt you, Rose. I just needed stability for my son, and Juan Stanley promised he could provide that. I'm sorry you were caught in my mess, I scoffed. You used me, Margaret. You used me as a convenient distraction while you planned a massive corporate betrayal. I know, but Rose, one more thing, that hard drive, it wasn't the evidence of the shell companies. Stanley had replaced it with an empty drive before he left. The real hard drive is hidden in your old apartment behind the washing machine. I saw him put it there the night you drove up. Mr. White has a fake. I stared at the gas pump. Fake hard drive? Stanley Pasternak was still a step ahead. He gave me a fake drive to buy his freedom, and he gave his enemy, Mr. White, a fake drive to buy more time. He truly was a master Ponzi schemer. Why are you telling me this, Margaret? Because, she whispered, if Gabriel finds the real one, he'll sell it to the highest bidder to pay for his engagement. And Stanley is paying me a lot of money to make sure that never happens. I needed you to know. Now go, be safe. And Rose, thanks for paying half the rent for so long. She hung up. I stood there, processing the final, insane twist. The real evidence, the true linchpin of the federal investigation, was still sitting behind the washing machine in my now empty apartment 3B I got back in my Civic. I looked at Sharon, who was leaning against the U-Haul, scrolling through Instagram, totally unbothered. Rose, you okay? Did you talk to someone? Just a wrong number, Sharon. I lied smoothly. Let's go. I think I finally left the bad date behind. I hit the gas, merging onto the interstate. The sun was setting and I was pointed toward Ohio. I realized something critical. I had been terrified of Gabriel's control, his helicopter parenting, because I had always lacked control myself, fueled by anxiety. But in the last 72 hours, facing down sociopaths, IRS agents, and pregnant teenagers, I had taken control of my own life for the first time. Quit my job, secured 6 months of severance, got my belongings, and successfully moved states, all without a single panic attack about the logistics. The whole thing was a nightmare, but it forced me to stop being an anxiety warrior and start being an action warrior. 6 weeks later, life in Ohio, I'm officially settled in a tiny but charming apartment in Columbus, Ohio. It's $750 a month, and the landlord actually sends a real plumber when things break. I've been stress eating less, and I am actually starting to look for new jobs. TBH, I'm leaning towards something involving meticulous paperwork, because clearly I have a knack for spotting corporate fraud now. I still have bad days. Sometimes I wake up in a cold sweat thinking about the $347 electric bill, or the fact that I was going to marry a 24-year-old child who lied about his lie. I haven't dated anyone since, and honestly, the thought of vetting anyone feels like applying for a government clearance now. But I'm okay. I did something I never would have done before. Last week, I hired a professional investigator, not to find Gabriel, but to check the property records for apartment 3B. The apartment is currently occupied by Gabriel White, 24M, and Catherine Robinson, 19F. Apparently, after Mr. White secured the fake hard drive, Gabriel's IRS trouble disappeared, and Margaret was able to pull strings to get him released. The eviction notice was overturned when Gabriel's father intervened and bought the apartment building outright, guaranteeing Gabriel and Catherine could move in, provided they maintain silence and get jobs. Gabriel White, the 24-year-old serial liar, is now officially the landlord of the apartment I used to rent. The ultimate helicopter parent move, courtesy of his actual father. I realized I didn't care. I am safe. I am solvent. I am free. I haven't told anyone about the real hard drive still behind the washing machine in my old apartment, which is now owned by Mr. White and rented by Gabriel. I guess I'll just leave that mess behind. Let the universe sort out the consequences of federal wire fraud. Yesterday, Sharon and I were watching a ridiculous reality show, and I realized I wasn't constantly checking my phone or worrying about my heart rate. I finally changed the Netflix password. Petty? Yes. Satisfying? Absolutely. So yeah, I went on the worst date of my life, one that lasted almost 3 years and cost me my home and my job. But in the process, I bought myself freedom and learned that maybe my anxiety was just a warning system I needed to start listening to. Moving forward, I'm focusing on the $750 rent, not the $1,247 rent. I'm Rose Patterson, 55F, and I'm officially retired from dating anyone under the age of 50. We'll update if I see Juan Parker on a news report from Costa Rica. Thanks for letting me process all of this, Internet. It helped me realize I wasn't crazy. I was just dealing with a truly unbelievable amount of organized chaos. I'm officially setting boundaries now. I even learned how to make my own artisanal soap. Take that, Tina. Wish me luck.